Hey there, this is John from the What's Your Mount Rushmore podcast. I just wanted to take a quick second to remind you to subscribe to us on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to right now. Oh, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for, some more fun crap. You can also get all of our past episodes on our website. It's whatsyourmountrushmore.com. Now let's start the show.
All right.
Welcome to What's Your Mount Rushmore podcast with hosts Mark Duval and John Hanson.
Are you kidding me?
Two old friends and knuckleheads discussing and covering their top four choices for any and all topics, making up their Mount Rushmore selections each week. Nothing is off limits. As you listen, remember, we always want to know, what's your Mount Rushmore?
Turn it on, leave it on. I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV.
I want someone who can sing.
What was that? Hey now, son of a bitch. This is John Hanson with the What's Your Mount Rushmore podcast, the not singer.
Welcome back to the unfortunate show opener you just had to endure. But welcome back to What's Your Mount Rushmore. I'm the other host. My name is Mark Duval. This one, we are discussing and doing our Mount Rushmore of music videos. Now, obviously, if you hear music videos, the first thing that should probably come to most people's heads is MTV. Yeah. And like John just gave us a little tease with his jingle voice, MTV launched in August 1st to be exact, of 1981. And John's favorite song from the Bugles.
Who? The Who?
I know I'm saying it wrong, but I just always thought they were huge fans of the snack Bugles.
Well, they weren't, because they're called the Buggles. The
Buggles, I know that. But no, they were the first video ever aired on MTV. And as far as I'm concerned, and I got to imagine most music fans would agree, that kind of forever changed the scope of music, because now it was being delivered to you visually, not just through audio. And it did kind of change the course of music in the world's history, for the better, I might add.
Absolutely, it did. And I know bands from that era, musicians, singers, whatever you want to call them from that era, all say that MTV helped them sell more records, which is weird. You think, okay, people are watching it on TV. How does that translate to sales? But it absolutely did. And they all knew that they had to put together a decent video that would get people's attention for the singles that they would release on the radio, and they'd see bumps every week and how those records would be sold. So MTV was not only cool to watch, but it was actually a big, money driver for all the bands and the record labels. And the record labels invested a lot of money in these videos because they knew that having these videos out there helped to increase record sales. And my love of music videos wasn't even restricted to MTV, actually. I watched Friday Night Videos. I don't know if, do you remember that show at all?
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't know if you were old enough to, that was more of an 80s thing for sure.
I do know what you're talking about. And wow, I hadn't thought of that, but I had thought and made a note of remembering and watching Headbangers Ball.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Same thing, just dedicated to hard rock music.
Yeah, but with Friday Night Videos, it was for people that if you didn't have cable TV, you could still watch it because it was on network TV. So every Friday night, I actually recorded it on something. I should do a closed circuit to Chad in Utah. I recorded it on something called the VCR, and then that way, yeah. So that way you could watch it back. And I'd watch these. I'd record the stupid. It was like a 90-minute show, Friday Night Videos, and I'd rewatch it over the weekend. I thought it was cool to watch the tape of these friggin' videos. Of course, I was like, 12 years old, but 13 years old, whatever it was. But let me just say this about Friday Night Videos before we dive into our picks. They had guest stars every week, or guest hosts, I should say, every week. And some of the guest hosts were people that we have discussed at length on our podcast. And some of them include Mean Gene Okerlund, Jesse Ventura, Jerry Seinfeld, Tommy Lee and Vince Neil together, Danny DeVito, George Wendt, George Carlin, Madonna, Ted Danson, and Ozzy Osbourne. All of them at some point in time hosted Friday Night Videos in the 80s.
Jerry Seinfeld is the one that jumps out. That's like, which one of these is not like the other?
Yeah. Especially in the 80s, he was still just basically a touring comic, stand-up comic. He wasn't the Seinfeld he became.
Wow.
Later on. But anyway, yeah. So MTV, big part of my life. I loved Headbangers Ball. Absolutely loved it.
Very much so.
Yeah. And ironically, though, not one single song and video that I'm going to talk about was a heavy metal song. None of them. None of these bands or none of these videos were featured on Headbangers Ball.
Interesting. I'm not sure I can say the same thing. I'd probably be misspeaking if I did.
MTV News. You hear it first.
I think let's dig in here, bud, because I am excited about this topic. So my first pick is a song that was released on September 7th, 1994, which ironically would have been Buddy Holly's 58th birthday. And I am, yes, talking about the song Buddy Holly by the band Weezer.
Oh, cool. Yep.
I'm not going to even putz around here with stringing it out. When we decided to do this topic, this was the very first video that came to my mind. I'm not going to lie. Because it was that impressive to me, that creative, that unique. It was so perfect because it was the band Weezer dressed up in like retro 70s clothing, performing at Arnold's Drive-In from the show Happy Days.
Yeah.
But they also blend in an episode of Happy Days with their video. So it really does feel like they're performing in front of the Fonz and Richie and Ralph Melf.
And Potsy.
The whole crew is there.
Yeah.
And Arnold himself is who intros them. And he said, don't forget to try the fish.
Yes.
Okay, kids, Arnold's is proud to present Kenosha, Wisconsin's own Weezer. Oh, hey, please try the fish.
I love this video because it's so artistic and creative, and it was directed by Spike Jonze and developed by him.
Yeah.
If you know anything about just the industry of videos and movies, and Spike Jonze has been around and is one of those guys. He's like the Spielberg almost of music videos. He's one of them types. But yeah, it was rewarded for it because in '95, it won Best Alternative Video, Best Breakthrough Video, Best Direction on a Video, and Best Editing. Was nominated for Video of the Year, but it didn't win, unfortunately. It lost to Aerosmith, Crying.
Really? That's a travesty.
When it comes to videos, yes, it is a travesty. But what's so amazing is that there was no computer graphics used to make that video. It was just clever camera work and really good editing. So it's a very impressionable video because of the visual of Weezer being in the Happy Days show.
Yeah, I love that video. I remember when that came out, and it was mind-blowing. It was like nothing you'd ever seen on MTV before, and which is interesting because MTV had been around for, 13 some years at that point in time, and somebody was still able to create something that was so unique and so original that it blew our minds. And I love that. And you know what? That song is actually a good song too. So it's a combination of being a good song and an amazing video that makes it memorable. It just missed my list. I had that probably would have been number 5 on my list. I love that song and video.
Yeah, and you're right. This was a really good song. It reached number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100. But that being said, every pick that you and I are probably going to be discussing, you obviously have to love the song too. Yes, it's about the video. That's what we're zeroing in on. But you're not. Who cares if it's a great video if the song sucks ass? I wouldn't pick it then.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a marriage of the two. It's a good song with a killer video.
It's true to a point, but we'll get through my list and I'll we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But there's a couple songs on my list that I like the video a lot more than I like the song. Doesn't mean I hate the song, but I definitely chose it because of the video. So
I hear you.
Well, you know what? I'm actually going to switch up my order a little bit. And I had a different one I was going to say first, but because you mentioned Spike Jonze, I'm going to piggyback on him and choose another video directed by Spike Jonze. This one is by the artist Fatboy Slim, and the song is Weapon of Choice.
Oh, he directed that? He I didn't know he was behind that one too.
He sure was. Yeah. You said it, man. Spike Jonze, he probably had his hands in some of the best videos of that era, the 90s into the early 2000s. He was a genius when it came to creating those things. And he actually went on to direct movies. He was a co-creator of the show Jackass, the whole Jackass franchise. But yeah, smart guy that knew how to put together a great music video, especially of that era and that style of music. Fatboy Slim is not a household name. And here's an example of a song. I don't mind this song. It's actually a cool song, but I'm not going out and buying Fatboy Slim t-shirts, and I'm not, lining up to buy his tickets or anything. But the reason why it's on my list is because of this video. And I know you'll remember this video. In fact, it came out in April of 2001. And I think we were working together at the time. And I remember it was one of those videos that we probably would watch it in the office because it was just a cool video. Anybody who has not seen this video, Spike Jonze director skills really do shine in this because it's a very simplistic concept. It's basically all about Christopher Walken, the actor, and it's him dancing. The entire video basically is one big dance number with him dancing around this hotel lobby. And then at some point he gets onto a balcony and jumps off a balcony, and through the magic of Hollywood, they show him basically flying around through this hotel lobby, like on these wires or something. I don't know. And then the song ends, and he goes back and sits down in a chair like none of it happened. He's just chilling out in the chair, and he's wearing a suit the whole time like a businessman. It's a very odd concept, but that's the whole thing. It has nothing to do with the music, nothing to do with the song. It's just a cool concept with one of my favorite actors, Christopher Walken, dancing. A lot of people don't realize it, but he was actually a trained dancer. He wasn't just some schmo with a funny way of talking and that became a big actor. In musical theater, he was an accomplished dancer, so he actually had a lot of skills in that area. Got to show them off in this video. It won 6 different MTV Music Video Awards, including one for Christopher Walken. He himself won an award for the choreography in the video. So I don't know if that means that he choreographed his own moves, which if he did, that's even cooler, actually.
Oh, he was freestyling.
Yeah, he basically was freestyling throughout this hotel lobby. It's a wild video, unique. I haven't seen it in a while, and I went back and watched it again recently when I knew we were going to do this, and that's just a cool video.
As soon as you said Fatboy Slim, I kind of went, oh, I know where he's going with this. It's I couldn't remember. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't remember the name of the song, but I knew you were going to say the Christopher Walken video where he's dancing and flying around a hotel lobby.
I gotta have more cowbell.
Or the whole hotel for that matter. But no, it was unique. It was random. It was unique and random. And I think that's why it was so memorable because it was Christopher Walken in a Fatboy Slim video.
Random. Random is the right word. And you're right. I did not. The name of the song was lost on me too. I'm just like, I know the Fatboy Slim video with Christopher Walken. I had to Google it, and then I found out the name. But it's
what's the name again?
Weapon of Choice.
Weapon of Choice. Okay, that does ring a bell now.
Yeah. And the song itself is not a bad song. It's one of those songs you heard it on the radio a lot. It got it had its moment. But the video is what kind of makes it.
It had its moment just like Fatboy Slim.
Yes, they both had a moment in 2001. The video is much more memorable than Fatboy Slim. So
the other thing I kind of connect them to, and we don't need to get off topic about it, is just if you've ever seen the documentary called, I think it's called Trainwreck on Netflix. It's a 3-episode documentary about the 1999 Woodstock.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
Some serious nasty shit went down when Fatboy Slim was performing in like that giant hangar for a rave. Some really bad things went down on his watch, and it's not his fault, obviously, but it's how now after watching that documentary, it's unfortunately now how I kind of associate Fatboy Slim is with Woodstock 99 and the events that followed.
Sure. Yeah. No, that was a good
Great documentary, by the way, if you ever get a chance to watch it.
It is a good one. I like it too. It's an example of a video that I like the video a lot, and the song's okay. The artist, meh. So all mine aren't going to be all about the artist or the song. They're more about Spike Jonze in this case. Spike Jonze put that together, and that's why I remember it 20 some years later.
I'll transition into my next pick, my second pick, and it is from a band that's incredibly recognizable for our generation, and the band is Guns N' Roses. The video is November Rain. Obviously, November Rain is a very different type of genre song for Guns N' Roses. That was written by Axl Rose for the Use Your Illusion 1 album from 1992. This song did have a ton of popularity too. It did reach number 3 in the Billboard charts. It's very blockbuster-ish. It's the way it's filmed, the way that they present it to you, and basically throughout the course of the song, you're seeing Axl Rose get married to his. It was his actual real girlfriend at the time, but she's the one who starred in the video. They show them get married. It's a big production. The church scenes are incredible. And it was filmed at like a Catholic church in LA, the interior shots. But what was always so funny was the exterior shots, which I'll get to more of in a second, is like this tiny little like farmhouse style church in the middle of nowhere. And it's tiny, but yet every time they go into the interior, it's like this huge cathedral type interior where it's, it's kind of funny that they mess with you that way. But I'll jump to really why this made my Mount Rushmore. I do love the song, and I really mean that. It's a great song. The most recognizable part of that whole video is the guitar solo from Slash. It's the way that he walks out of the church because in the video he forgot the wedding rings. So he's like up at the altar, realizes he doesn't have the rings, so he leaves. He walks out of the church. But when he walks out of the church, he's now in this like open field with that tiny farmhouse church in the backdrop. And here's the coolest part about it. Now, this would more relate to when they recorded the song. That is one of the best guitar solos you can find. It's definitely just amazing. That whole guitar solo he made up on the spot when they were recording the song.
Wow.
He just went off.
Really?
Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to November Rain and just get to the guitar solo. It is unbelievable. The dude is amazing.
That's a great song, and that is an epic video. I kind of thought about that. This is a stupid reason for not including that, but that song, I liked it a lot when it came out, but I don't know if it was the length of the song or what it was. Eventually, it sort of just kind of grated me. You know how certain songs you hear them too much, they get burned out, and that song kind of got burned out in my head.
Well, you're actually not alone. Ironically, Slash and Duff, McCragen, whatever his name is,
one of those two.
Let's just say Slash and Duff. Yes. They actually did not want to record this song that Axl wrote. They were kind of avid about it because Slash thought it was very against their image and the style of music that they were known for, and he did not want to fall down the trap of now we're doing long ballads.
Yeah.
But then they ended up recording it, and I have a feeling the reason Slash changed his tune on that was because of the creative freedom he had with that guitar solo. Because again, it's this huge grand wedding of Axl Rose.
By the way, you just brush that off like it's his girlfriend. That was Stephanie Seymour. That's who that was. Supermodel, like swimsuit, Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model. I mean, that's like just not some random chick. She was
that's someone he met on Sunset Boulevard.
No, she was something special.
But throughout the whole course of the song, you see them get married, and then ultimately she does die, and then they're back in that very church now with her laying in a casket, and it's a big saga, and it's always raining. It rained at their wedding reception. It rained during the funeral, and apparently all this happened in November. But here's a little fun fact though about this video specifically. It is the first video ever made prior to the invention of YouTube that reached 1 billion views. It's now, ironically, current day, it has now had over 2 billion views on YouTube.
Wow.
Crazy.
Well, that's an interesting fact. I didn't know that. It makes some sense, though, because I think it's one of those things where people remember this epic monster video telling this long story from watching it on MTV. But then here, years later, when YouTube comes along, we have all these videos at our fingertips. Like you think of a video, click, boom, watching it, just like that. We couldn't do that in the 80s or in the first part of the 90s because you didn't have that ability. So I'm sure there were a lot of people that were like, hey, remember that November Rain video? How cool that was? Let's go watch it on YouTube now. Now we can sit and watch it and enjoy it. And so I'm sure it probably had a nice little resurgence.
Going back to the solo that Slash lays out in this video, which is so incredible. The visual of him doing it and the way it's filmed, I have a feeling that guitar solo inspired so many new people to pick up a guitar.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to go back and watch that video again because, again, like I say, the song got burned out on me. Yeah, that's it for you. I can dive into my second pick, I guess. Number 2 on my Mount Rushmore, in no particular order, of course, just throwing it up there. It's Peter Gabriel's video for Sledgehammer. April of 1986, the song was released. So this video went on to win 9 MTV Video Music Awards. It was also the song was nominated for 3 different Grammys. And the thing about this video that's so memorable is the stop motion graphics, the way they filmed this with the stop motion and the different, it's like, you imagine the old days of like the claymation where you have to take a figurine and you move it one little bit and you take a frame of video, you do something else one little bit, take a frame of video. That's kind of what they did in this video, the Sledgehammer video. Peter Gabriel was actually laying down on his back underneath a sheet of glass over his face for more than 16 hours while they did all this stuff moving around above him. So when you watch the video, it looks like these things are moving across his face. There's different elements. There's a train. There's all these things going into. It looks like it's going into his head, and these different stop motion video things. 16 hours he had to lay there, and that's only part of the video. The video actually took more than 100 hours to film because it's just so detailed. And a video like this you could probably create in about 45 minutes today with computer graphics and CGI. But back then they had to do it the hard way. And, Peter Gabriel was actually quoted something along the lines, I don't have the exact quote, but he basically said, I don't think anybody's ever going to duplicate this video. He said, because there's no way they would ever want to. It was just way too much work. And apparently, it was cutting edge, and it definitely was a big deal. It actually turned out to be a number 1 hit single for him too, which didn't hurt the video. Whether the video helped the song become number 1, I suppose it probably did in this case because the video was so memorable. But the ironic thing about it is it bumped off the band Genesis out of the number 1 spot that week, and Peter Gabriel, for those who know, was the original singer of Genesis. So it was kind of an interesting little tie the two bands had there together.
I wanna be Sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name?
So anyway, 100 hours spent filming this video. That is 6,000 minutes of work for a song that's less than 5 minutes long. What do you think of that?
You said it won 6 MTV Video Music Awards?
Yeah, actually 9 MTV different ones. Yeah, they had a lot of different categories. I don't have them all listed here in front of me, but 9 different ones. And I did read too that it is the all-time most played video in MTV history. No video. This one would go on a couple different Mount Rushmores, I guess.
Wow, I would not have guessed that. I know the video, and it's incredibly creative. It's like you mentioned about November Rain. Once we're done here, I really do want to go watch that. It's been a long time since I've seen that video, and I kind of want to recall all the things that go over his face.
There's part of it that I think his face is actually painted too, but obviously in that case, it's not dealing with the glass. And imagine that just the dedication you have to do that. A TV network in the UK ranked it as the number 2 all-time music video, and behind only Michael Jackson's Thriller, which a lot of people would maybe mention on this list too. But which one was it you said came to your mind right away? Oh, it was the Weezer, right?
Weezer, Buddy Holly, yeah.
For me, it was this one. The Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer video came to mind right away because it's so weird and so memorable. And again, like I said, they could recreate this video today in a shorter time than it takes to record this podcast episode, probably.
And I think probably because it did come to my mind too. I just couldn't remember it as well as I thought I should be able to remember it, like Buddy Holly's or Weezer by Buddy Holly. But when you think of Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, that really is the golden era, man, of MTV. And then when you come out with things like that, it didn't disappoint because it's mind blowing. It's almost like being on. It's like you're on something and you're watching this.
It really is. I'm I'm sure there were people sitting in their basement at home when it came out that were on something and watched it, and then jumped out the window. I don't know.
Peter Gabriel was onto something, and the people watching were on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Great pick, though, man. Certainly deserves to be on a Mount Rushmore list just because of the kind of that cutting edge technology of showing and introducing you a new art form. Just when you think we got away from Spike Jonze.
Oh my God.
My next pick involves him yet again. This was his vision. He directed it, the whole thing. I'm going back to 1994, and this is a song by the Beastie Boys, and it's Sabotage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This was released in January of 94 on their album Ill Communications. This video is so cool that was done by Spike Jonze. It was nominated in 5 categories at the 1994 MTV Video Music Awards. What's sad, they were snubbed and didn't win anything.
Really? That video won nothing?
That video won nothing. It later, like in the 2000s, I want to say like 2009, it received a video music award for a category they created that was best video that deserves a moon man.
Yeah.
And then they got it.
Best video that got snubbed in its year.
But what I love about it was Spike Jonze really tapping into the sense of humor that is the Beastie Boys. And the video itself is like a homage and a parody to 1970s TV shows like Starsky and Hutch, Hawaii Five-0, Beretta, SWAT, where they're like these undercover cops just flying around town chasing bad guys. And it fits with the song so perfectly. It's so retro. I love it because the video, it's presented like as if it's the opening credits to a fictional 70s style police show, but the police show is called Sabotage, and the band members are all the characters that play and are in the show. They're the actors. It's just a cool video. It's a cool song. It's one of those songs that once it starts, it just kind of gets you excited, gets your energy level up a little bit.
It's kind of weird because when you say 1994, that just, for some reason, I would have thought that video came out much more recent than that. Is that weird? I don't know. Because it doesn't feel dated to me. If I watch that video, and I have actually seen that video in the last couple of years, I think, and I watch it and I still like it. The song is great. But when I watch it right now, it doesn't feel like it's that old. That song's, older than some of the other ones we've talked about, and yet it doesn't seem like it. But maybe because the song holds up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the song doesn't sound old either. And the creativity of making that video tied to that song, it's perfect. And yet again, I didn't know this was going to turn into a tribute show to Spike Jonze, but my God, maybe he deserves it.
The guy knew how to make a video. I mean, that's for sure.
This guy must have been one of those dudes that in August of 1981, he must have been watching cable, and when he saw the Bugles
yes,
come on with radio music, Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he sat up fast and the light bulb went off going, oh, music videos? I know how to do that.
Yeah. Now I know what I'm going to do with my life. And he went out and did it.
Yeah, he certainly did. It makes me almost now want to really dive into Spike Jonze. What else did he produce?
I'm sure we'd find a bunch of them that we were unaware that he did, and would blow us away. That's in fact, I'm probably going to do that later today. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah,
make a little playlist of Spike Jonze videos. I'm sure they're all good.
So that's my third pick already. So
I'm on my third pick too here. So this one is not Spike Jonze. It's back to the mid '80s again. I'm bouncing around in time a little bit, and so this one is a parody song. It's by Weird Al Yankovic. It's the song "Eat It."
What?
February of 1984. It's of course one of his famous parody songs. We all know that Weird Al is the king of the parodies, and this time he's parodying the song "Beat It" by Michael Jackson. I was a young kid when Michael Jackson's Thriller album came out. I was a young kid, and you couldn't escape that album. The songs were everywhere. MTV, of course, but also on the radio. Michael Jackson popped up on all these different TV shows and commercials. All of a sudden, it was the year or the years, because that went on for a few years, of Michael Jackson. So who better to parody in 1984 than Michael and Weird Al?
The King of Pop.
Yeah, parody the King of Pop, because he truly was the King of Pop. I am positive that when Weird Al decided that he was going to do a parody song of the Beat It, that he had the video in his brain. So think about the Michael Jackson Beat It video. For its time, it was an okay video. I mean, it's a lot of him dancing with these different people and all this. And again, it was the very early days of MTV and the early days of music videos. So it was probably pretty cool at the time. It would be feels dated now. But what I love about the Weird Al Eat It video is it's a shot for shot, almost exact copy of the Michael Jackson video. It's just, instead of Michael, it's Weird Al wearing the same clothes, doing a very bad attempt at some of the same dance moves. I mean, all the things that he's doing in the Beat It video, Weird Al recreates in Eat It. And of course, I was a kid when it came out, so the lyrics to the song were funny. I thought it was funny anyway. And then you have the video, which was funny. And then he's mocking a song that was one of the biggest songs on the planet, if not the biggest song, for a minute.
You won't get no dessert till you clean off your plate, so eat it. Don't you tell me you're full, just eat it. Eat it. Get yourself an egg and beat it.
Some of the same dancers appear in both videos, and he actually had to pay royalties to Michael Jackson not because of the parody of the song, but because the video was an exact copy. It was so close that he had to pay royalties to Michael Jackson, and he did it gladly because that's what he wanted. He wanted to copy that video shot for shot, goofy dance move for goofy dance move, and he did it.
Am I remembering this right? Is this the video where I guess it would be both Michael and Weird Al? They're wearing like that typical Michael Jackson red leather studded jacket.
Yes.
I'm visualizing this the right way? Okay.
Yep, he is. And I think he's got the, too short pants, and the white socks and
the glove.
If you were to watch the two videos side by side, maybe there's somebody on YouTube that has put them together. It would be funny to see that, side by side, how close they are. Believe it or not, I was actually considering Michael Jackson for this list. I was considering the Thriller video. Ultimately, decided to pivot off of Michael. And then when this video popped into my brain, I'm like, this is perfect. It gives me a chance to talk about Michael Jackson, who made these great videos. There's even a nod to Michael at the very end of the video where Weird Al turns and looks at the camera, and he's got these yellow kind of spooky contact lenses in that look just like the Michael Jackson contact lenses in the Thriller video. So another little nod to Michael there. Once this song popped in my head, I decided to toss Michael aside and I went weird instead.
For Weird Al.
I decided to go weird. Shout out to my friend Mike Geldert, who he's a Weird Al fan. He'll appreciate this pick.
He loves his Weird Al, that young man.
Yep.
While we're just on Michael Jackson, just for a second, and you mentioned Thriller. Now, I got to imagine most people that are going to give this a listen, why do I have a feeling that the majority will put Thriller on their Mount Rushmore? And
of a certain age, anyway.
Yeah, and this is, of course, and this is where I push back. Now, I like Michael Jackson as much as the next guy, okay? I get it's Michael Jackson and that's a long, drawn-out saga with a lot of twists and turns of what his career is, who he was, who he is, the whole thing. But in the end, the dude was the king of pop, and he was a phenom. But I will say this, unpopular opinion warning. I like the song Thriller. I don't love it. Was the video for its time huge? Yeah, it was like the most expensive one to make at that point.
Yeah.
It just never did it for me. There were other Michael Jackson videos that I considered to make my Mount Rushmore, my top 4, but it wasn't Thriller. It was just kind of some of his more simple ones, like Billie Jean. That's a great video to me. It's because it's so focused on him. Nothing but respect and love for Michael Jackson. But yeah, I have a feeling, and that is a spoiler alert, there is no Michael Jackson videos on my Mount Rushmore, which I'm sure will disappoint some. There's your reminder. It's my Mount Rushmore, not yours, and not what I think it's supposed to be for representing the general public.
The only reason that I did consider Thriller was because when that was released, it was a big deal. It was like a big event. The Thriller video was going to be released. Yeah. They made like a big point of when it was coming out. It was like appointment television. You had to tune in to watch it on this day and this time to see it live. Because again, this is before the era of VC, they had VCRs, but they didn't have DVRs. They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have the freaking internet. So if you wanted to watch something on TV, you damn well better be watching. You have your ass in front of that TV.
Well, it was so hyped and promoted. You're
Yeah,
right.
I was such a young kid. There was elements of that video that were spooky to me, that actually were kind of scary.
Yeah.
Honestly. So in hindsight, it's campy, it's silly, it's not a favorite song of mine either. But at that moment in time, little Johnny was spooked by that video.
Little Johnny needed his binky.
He did.
What an anus.
Me.
I love. I don't think I'm letting you. I can't let you off this light. I love how you're not including Michael Jackson on your video Mount Rushmore, but you're using Weird Al doing a Michael Jackson video. I love it.
Well, because it's funny and it cracks me up, and that's what videos. In my opinion, videos were meant to entertain.
Of course.
There's a lot of videos out there that just show the band maybe singing on a stage. There's a lot of different boring. Maybe a guy driving in a car singing or something. It's no, do something different, do something unique. And every one of the videos that both you and I have talked about have been unique. And the fact that Weird Al made it a mission to copy frame for frame, shot for shot, which I'm sure took a lot of work and time and money. I had to include it. I love that video.
It's kind of funny, man. Weird Al is he's such his own category. There really isn't another Weird Al.
Absolutely not. Nope.
He deserves a place in pop culture history, in music history for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
I respect the pick. I just think it's funny to some degree.
Yeah, I agree. It is funny. That's kind of the point.
I'll anchor that with my fourth and final. Now, I haven't heard you obviously mention this yet. I have no idea if it's your last pick as well. I know this comes from a band that you're a really big fan of, and the band is Van Halen, and the video that I'm talking about is Right Now.
Oh, come on. Really? No, that is not my fourth pick.
You were just blindsided?
I should make it my fourth pick. I am totally blindsided. I forgot all about that damn video. Oh my God, that's a great video.
I don't know how you see. Okay, I finally the tables have turned. I'm always the one with egg on my face, and people are laughing at my expense. Now they can laugh at you. This video is killer, and it's unique from Van Halen. It was released in '92 on their For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. I love the whole message about it. It's really about living for the moment and not being afraid of making change. It's kind of the tone of it. It's kind of the message of it all. This did win 3 awards at the MTV Video Music Awards, including Video of the Year. And it's kind of funny, like I was just talking about with November Rain and Slash, Sammy Hagar, who obviously was the lead singer of Van Halen, for Van Halen at this moment, he was really opposed to the concept of the Right Now video. And he was very vocal about it because he thought it was stupid and he thought it would be distracting that everyone would be reading instead of listening to him and the band sing and perform their music. Obviously, that was an ultimate misjudgment on his part because that's what makes it, in my opinion, worthy of being on my Mount Rushmore, is the fact that the whole thing is just one thing after another, scenes and segments that you do have to read that all are discussing or describing things that could be happening right now. Like when the whole song starts, it's a piano playing, and that's the very first frame you'll see in the video. Is it just says right now Ed is playing the piano, and then from there it's a series of things like that. Like, okay, here's some examples I jotted down, just ones that kind of stuck out to me. Right now, someone is walking onto a nude beach for the first time. Right now is just time between ice ages. Right now, someone is working too hard for minimum wage. And that's what's kind of funny. There's lighthearted things and there's kind of serious social things that are being talked about throughout this song.
Very much.
Of all the Van Halen videos, and obviously videos in general, this just rose to the top for me because I had never and still really haven't seen anything quite like it. And it doesn't hurt. I absolutely love the song.
Oh, for sure. That's a great song. I am blown away that I forgot that song in that video.
I love it.
I actually thought about a few different Van Halen videos for this list. Ultimately, I decided to leave them off, but that's one that should have been on there because it's a band that I love, it's a song that I love, and it's a video that I love. And you absolutely nailed it when you said that there's funny, lighthearted moments, and then there's some serious, like thought-provoking stuff in that video too that really kind of made it a poignant video and a poignant place in time because they were, Van Halen is not traditionally were thought of as let's be honest, they were thought of as a party band and not necessarily did anything seriously. But then this video came out and there were moments in this video that were serious and had interesting thoughts that, people were talking about. So very cool video that I wish I would have had on my list. The Van Halen video that I considered was Hot for Teacher.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but this was right on the tip of my tongue. I was going to say, I bet one of these three are the Van Halen videos that you were considering. Hot for Teacher was my number one pick for you, then Jump, then Panama.
Jump was a massive MTV video. That got so much MTV play. Not necessarily my favorite Van Halen song. And
but it got a lot of attention. You're right.
Panama, I like the song better than the video. I love the song Panama. It's a great song to crank up when you're driving down the road, but not necessarily my favorite video. Hot for Teacher is a cool song with a video that is very unique in its own way. If you haven't seen that video, it's a very attractive woman playing the part of the teacher dancing in this classroom, which a lot of people would say is not at all PC in today's world and probably not the best visualization in today's world to have all these young kids hooting and hollering about this teacher dancing on the desks. By the way, side note, the girl, if you remember the video, the girl that plays the teacher, the hot teacher in the video, David Spade dated her.
Of course he did.
I've heard him talk about that on different podcasts.
And if not him, Scott Baio or Pauly Shore.
Yeah. I'm kicking myself for not having that on my list. I could have easily replaced. Well, I wouldn't replace Weird Al. No. Shit.
I was just going to get. You wouldn't go Van Halen right now over Weird Al.
Oh no, that belongs on my list. It could have replaced Weird Al. It could have replaced Fatboy Slim too. Shoot.
Oh, I love that I just jammed you up like this. Finally,
you did. I mean. I guess in my brain, when I was thinking Van Halen, I was just thinking more of the David Lee Roth era, but I do like the Sammy Hagar era as well. And that is by far the best video from the Sammy era, so.
Oh, without a doubt.
Shoot. I'm bummed about that. Maybe I can edit this entire segment out.
How about no?
What a dick.
You'll be hearing from my attorney if you do. Prick. You blew it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
What's your last pick then, now that I just hit you over the head with reality?
Yeah, now it just smacked me in the face with one of my all-time favorite bands. This next one I would have left on my list, so I wouldn't have replaced this with Van Halen, but it's another extremely unique video by the band Genesis, and it's the Land of Confusion video.
Oh. God, I love that video.
Back to the mid-'80s. This was October of 1986. To this day, I do like that song. The song, actually, when I hear it on the radio, it still sounds good. I also like the remake by Disturbed.
I love that version.
Yeah, I like that version a lot, too. But yet, to this day, 38 years later, when I hear this song, whether it's the Disturbed version or the Genesis version, I think of this video. I think of the goofy video. MTV, frankly, they did play the shit out of this video. This video was on constantly, like most of the videos we talked about. If anybody hasn't seen this video, what makes it memorable is puppets.
It's all puppets.
Simply puppets. Lots and lots of puppets. And they're very distinct looking puppets. They look kind of like real people. So the general concept of the video, it starts out with Ronald and Nancy Reagan.
Like in bed.
Yeah, they're laying in bed. They're saying goodnight. They're going to go to sleep. And they're puppets too. They're puppet versions of the Reagans, who was president, of course, at the time in 1986. So as Ronald falls asleep, he goes into this dream. and it has all these weird puppets in it doing all these weird things. So apparently the whole video basically is what's happening within his own dream. And it has weird, world leaders from all the different countries, presidents and so forth, as well as all the band members are in the video. This is just a small list of the celebrities that are made into puppets in this video.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you got here.
I'm going to slap this one on you. They had Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon, Richard Nixon, Mr. Spock, Bob Hope, Tina Turner, David Bowie, Bob Dylan, Madonna, Prince, Sting, Michael Jackson, Princess Diana, Hulk Hogan, Bruce Springsteen, Sylvester Stallone dressed up like Rambo, Mick Jagger, the Queen, the Pope is playing a guitar in it, and last but not least, your favorite TV dad, Bill Cosby.
Oh no!
My favorite.
What? That's not right? I thought I read that somewhere.
Was he wearing a Cosby sweater?
He was. So, and no CGI, like a lot of the videos that we talk about, this is shot in real life with real freaking puppets that look like these real people. It was nominated for Video of the Year at the MTV Music Video Awards that year, but it lost out to Sledgehammer, ironically. Genesis, and again, Genesis, the band that Peter Gabriel used to sing with, so they kind of were battling in 1986.
Those worlds collided.
Yeah. Again, when I hear the song today, if I'm driving, if I run to the store and it pops on the radio, my mind is going to go to this video. It just always will.
This was on my short list too, and like I said, it's the same comment I can make about Sledgehammer. This is that golden era of MTV. You'd turn on MTV, and I feel like you would either see Jump, Van Halen, Sledgehammer, or Land of Confusion by Genesis.
Yeah, pretty much.
And real quick, when you mentioned Disturbed's version of Land of Confusion, what is it with Disturbed and how they can just crush remakes, just like they did with Sound of Silence?
Yeah,
by Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, they have said when they do these cover songs, they look for a band that is completely different than they are, and the song is completely different from their style, and then they look to take that song and make it their own. So that's what their goal is always, to find a band or a song that's worlds different from them. Like the Sound of Silence, of course, is a perfect example of that. But then make it their own. So they are really good at that.
They really are, and that song specifically, it just showcases how unbelievable he can, how unbelievable he is as a singer in his range. Wow, this is quite the list, man. I just love that I snuck in a Van Halen one and left you with mud on your face and with your head hanging low.
I do not love that.
I'm going to go into some honorable mentions if you want to hear just some of the thought process that went into this.
Yeah.
And we've talked about these bands in the past on different episodes of this podcast. One is Metallica. I thought the song One could be represented, and I also thought Enter Sandman. Now, Enter Sandman is Enter Sandman just changed the game for Metallica, but a lot of it also because of that video too. There's some powerful imagery in, both of those, obviously. We've talked about One before. That's really disturbing, sad, dark. Enter Sandman, though, it's the scene where the semi-truck is like bearing down on that kid in his bed.
Yeah.
And how it times out with that part of the song where it's just ramping up and then boom. And
yes.
As the truck hits the bed, it just destroys it.
That video is meant to feel like a nightmare, and it does.
Yeah!
And they do such a good job. And then it has that old guy with the incredibly wrinkled face. But now the other band is the band Kiss. I'm going to kind of parlay this and tease it for a future episode. That it could be something that returns. But if you ever get a chance, YouTube the song Sure Know Something.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great song, and this song is from their Dynasty album from 1979. Now, I feel so weird not including this one on my list, but the only reason I didn't is because so many rock videos over the course of time are the same, meaning it's just them filming the band performing the song on a stage. Sometimes there's a crowd, sometimes there's not. But the song Sure Know Something from the Dynasty album, for me personally, the Dynasty era of Kiss was my favorite costumes. I thought they were the most like outrageous, they were just crazy to look at. And if you watch that video, it really is just them again doing what I was saying. They're performing on a stage with no crowd, but you really get a sense of what Kiss was like, especially with that album that had obviously disco ties to it and a disco vibe to it. But it's my favorite. Now, I'll end it with this. Teasing a potential future topic for our podcast would be the opposite of what we just did today. And I know you and I were talking about this before we started recording today. Why don't we maybe park this for a while and we'll get back to it at some point and do a Mount Rushmore of the worst music videos ever made?
Oh,
because there's such a hilarious pool to pull from. There's so many bad videos, just like there's so many good videos. And unfortunately, and everyone who knows me, they know I love Kiss, for God's sake. So this is not an attack on Kiss, but it is an attack on this video. One of the worst music videos ever made, unfortunately, was put out there by Kiss. And it was from their Lick It Up album. That was the song, Lick It Up. And it was so weird and disturbing because it was the first video that they ever put out without their makeup in the early 80s. And my God, put the makeup back on.
Oh, no.
And at that point, too, they did not have the original 4 band members when Lick It Up came out. But when you see these guys in the early 80s without makeup and how just odd and kind of overall dumb the Lick It Up video is, it makes no sense because it's like this post-apocalyptical world.
Yeah.
I'm saying that right. And it just doesn't make any sense to what the song is.
It is a terrible, terrible video. And I very much looking forward to making the episode. Like you said, down the road, we'll do it. We'll shelve it for a while of the Mount Rushmore of bad music videos. And I think that'll be as much fun as this one, to be honest, maybe more fun because some videos are so incredibly bad that they kind of become a favorite in a weird way because you enjoy how bad they are.
It's like you avoid the tragedy that is that music video. It's like a total disaster.
I won't mention any names because I want to save it for that episode, but there are some bad videos that actually are good songs, and it's unfortunate.
Like Lick It Up.
Yeah.
Lick It Up's a great song. I love the song Lick It Up, and then you see the video and you're like,
yeah.
I got to just close my eyes and focus back on the song I like.
It got tied to a bad video, and that's sadly what gets remembered for some people. But there's a video that it reminds me of when you started talking about the Sabotage and how it's shot like a TV show. This video I'm going to mention the song was called "Smuggler's Blues" by Glenn Frey, and it's from the mid 80s. It's a solo song from Glenn Frey, who was in the Eagles. But this video is shot like a 4-minute action movie, like a mini action movie about this smuggler, and it tells the story of this drug smuggler and what he's going through and trying to get away from the cops and all that stuff. This video was so good at the time that it inspired the creators of Miami Vice to write an episode that they called Smuggler's Blues. They wrote an episode that was based on this music video and this song, and then they had Glenn Frey come in and he guest starred in the actual episode. He played the part of the drug kingpin guy, I think, or the drug dealer. Anyway.
How cool is that?
So Smuggler's Blues, Glenn Frey. It's a deep track. People who know the song will like it. Look up the video. It's a fun video. But otherwise, that's all I had. This is a lot of fun revisiting these because some of these videos I haven't seen in a hell of a long time because, as we know, MTV does not play music. Television, as what it was known, does not play music.
I did fall on my face and came up short in this department. I was trying to get us a special guest for this topic, and Carson Daly would not return my calls.
Ah, come on.
So, anus.
Anus.
Well, remember, think about it, though. That was kind of the last time MTV was known or relevant that way, was when Carson Daly hosted TRL.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger, so it's not like I sit and watch MTV all day, but I don't think MTV is even remotely close to what it once was as it relates to actually playing music videos.
No, it's a shame. That's what it is.
It's all weird shit now, and weird reality shows, and just weird topics. And
Yep.
again, I'm not the demo, so it's not like they give a shit if I'm watching anymore. But for the record, I'm not.
If they want to know, I'm not either.
Well, if you don't know, well, now you know.
Well, what I do know is this was a good episode, and it's time to end it.
Let's end it, and please make sure you subscribe, to us on whatever platform it is you're listening to us, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, even on Facebook. Make sure you're following us, like us, adore us, actually.
Well, let's start with like. We'll work our way up
to adorable. But yeah, this was a fun one, man. And like many others, another walk down memory lane, which is why I get pretty excited about each and every week's topic, because it's fun to discuss. That being said, I couldn't get Carson Daly, but I did get 2 sponsors for this episode. So thank you, Fashion Bug, and thank you, Mr. Movies.